Somewhere online right now, two people are fighting about a show neither of them made, in a language neither of them speaks, and both of them think they've won. That's sub versus dub, decades old, still going. And here's the part nobody wants to admit, it was never actually about voice acting. It's about two completely different things people want from a story. And most people arguing about it don't even realize that's the actual fight. One side wants comfort, native language, no subtitles hijacking your eyeballs, just let the show wash over you like a warm bath. The other side wants the source. The original performance, the original timing, the exact way an actor said a line in a booth in Tokyo before anyone else got their hands on it. Comfort versus authenticity. That's the real argument. Everything else is just people yelling cringe and pretentious at each other and calling it a debate. I used to think I had to pick one, forever, like choosing between Messi and Ronaldo and defending it in every group chat for the rest of your life. When it's obviously Messi, by the way, but then I actually tested it show by show. And the real answer was way weirder than I like sub or I like dub. The answer was, depends on the show. Once I built an actual system for figuring out which one wins, this stopped being an argument and started being a tool. Here's the system. If a show's already finished and the dub exists, I don't guess, and I definitely don't vibe my way into a decision. First 3 episodes in dub. First 3 in sub, same show, same episodes back to back. Whichever one hooks me harder by episode 3 wins, full stop. That's the version I finish. No loyalty, no subs are just better walking in with me, just a direct fight every single time. Catch though, if the anime's still airing, if new episodes are dropping weekly, there's no dub yet. None. Dubs take months, sometimes years to catch up, so live airing shows don't even get the test. It's sub, not because I chose it, because it's literally the only thing that exists. People forget this part constantly. Half the sub versus dub argument assumes everyone always has both options sitting right there. They don't. Half the sub purists online aren't purists at all. They just started a show before the dub existed, finished it, and never looked back. Which, hilarious enough, is exactly how I ended up watching Death Note in sub. I was so early into anime, I didn't even know sub and dub was a choice you could make. No test, no philosophy, just whatever version I happened to find. Third rule, and this one has nothing to do with performance quality whatsoever. Eating while I watch dub. Every single time, I'm not reading subtitles with a fork in one hand and rice falling off it in the other. Glancing down at my plate hoping I didn't just miss the one line that mattered. That's not an artistic stance. That's just logistics, and my hands were busy first. Alright, let's actually run this through the shows that built how I watch anime now. Steins, dubbed, not close. Ran the 3-episode test like always and dubbed steamrolled sub immediately. Not because the Japanese cast is bad, they're genuinely great, but Steins lives on rapid-fire chaos, technobabble, 5 people talking over each other at once. Reading subtitles that fast meant I missed every single facial reaction happening on screen. Dub, let me actually watch the characters instead of the bottom third of my screen. Still, my favorite anime of all time. And yes, full disclosure, dubbed Makise Kurusu might be my waifu, so throw my entire objectivity in the trash on this one. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, same story, dub wins that test for almost everyone who tries it, and I'm not special. That English cast became iconic on its own terms, not a translation riding the original's coattails. Cowboy Bebop, the cleanest sweep of the 3, that dub isn't a compromise. A huge chunk of the fandom genuinely calls it the definitive version. Jazz, score, noir tone, that lazy cool guy delivery that somehow fits the English cast even better than it fits the original in places. I expected sub to win out of pure reflex. It got demolished. 3 shows dub out of everything I've actually run the test on. Everything else swings hard the other way. Attack on Titan sub, that raw screaming desperation needed the exact rasp the original direction built over years. Frieren sub, that show runs on silence and grief you don't say out loud, and I wasn't gambling that away. Chainsaw Man sub, the whiplash between hilarious and horrifying needed the original's exact comedic timing. Jujutsu Kaisen sub, same deal. Rapid emotional swings mid-fight where the original vocal direction is doing genuinely surgical work. Oshi no KO sub, built entirely on saying one thing and meaning another, and that kind of restraint dies the second you re-record it somewhere else. Vinland Saga, sub, slow, heavy, precise, built alongside the actual animation frame by frame. One Piece sub, though, honestly, I ditched the anime for the manga at this point, which sidesteps the whole fight. Death Note sub, no choice, pure accident of timing. Dragon Ball Super, sub, old habit from years of Japanese Dragon Ball already. Naruto, same story, an early pattern nobody ever tested until way later. My dress-up darling, sub, tiny embarrassed stammers that felt way more real in the original than the English take I sampled. 11 shows sub, 3 shows dub. Look at that ratio and you'd assume I'm basically a sub purist having a small identity crisis with 3 exceptions. Wrong. Most anime run through an honest test, lean sub, because the original cast records those lines watching the finished animation, timing every breath against a story they've lived inside for months, sometimes years. A dub cast is often stuck working off a script, translated after the fact, matching lip flaps drawn for a completely different language on a way tighter deadline. Not a shot at dub actors. Some of the most talented voice performers alive right now are dub actors. It's just a structural disadvantage baked into the process before a single line ever gets recorded. Steins, FMAB, Cowboy Bebop, all 3 exceptions for the exact same reason. Their English versions weren't trying to be the original, they were just doing their own thing and doing it well. And yes, I clocked the list too. Attack on Titan, One Piece, Naruto, Frieren, Dragon Ball, Chainsaw Man, JJK's cynical read. I'm just farming every popular title I can find for views. Fair. Maybe there's some truth there. Honest read, these shows are popular because a lot of people already ran their own version of this exact test. Which means you can actually tell me if yours landed differently. That's genuinely the point. Here's the twist, basically, nobody clocks. This was never actually about language, it's about attention. Subtitles cost you visual attention, every second reading text is a second not watching the animation, the framing, the tiny facial shift the director put there on purpose. Dub costs you something completely different. You get full visual attention back, but you risk losing the exact emotional calibration the original performance nailed down. So the real question was never which is better, it's which cost am I actually willing to pay for this specific show? Fast, chaotic shows like Steins pay the dub cost. Visual attention matters more there than catching every syllable. Slow, precise shows like Vinland Saga or Oshi pay the subtitle cost because the original's doing work you genuinely can't afford to lose. Here's where this stops being about anime completely. Most arguments online run this exact same script. 2 sides, both convinced there's one universal correct answer, when the real answer is, depends what you're optimizing for. Diets. Productivity apps, which city to live in, somebody built one rule off one good experience, then ran with it forever without ever testing it again. I almost did the exact same thing. Death Note was my first sub, before I even knew dub existed as an option. I could have just decided sub was correct, period, forever, and never questioned it again. A ton of people do exactly that, with way bigger things than anime. One early experience becomes an identity instead of a preference, and it just calcifies there. So here's the only question that actually matters. Not which one do you prefer. When's the last time you actually tested it, instead of just assuming it? If this changed how you think about the debate even slightly, smash the like, obviously, and drop your own list in the comments, sub or dub, show by show. I genuinely want to see whose test came out completely different from mine. Subscribe if you want more of these.